Let me tell you how I've burned $100,000 and I've managed to recoup it to then double over my valuation of my brand from 2.5 million to 5 million. And I'm going to show you how you can learn from me as well. So you can don't make the silly mistakes that I've made. Okay. I'm going to go straight to the point and I'm going to give you mistakes as they come along because boy, I did a few, but I also made some good moves. So first mistake number one is if you are building a tech company, listen to me. Do not do it without somebody who is technical part of your in-house team. Why? When you delegate the technology to somebody else who you have to trust their know-how and their ability to be on point to the level of speed technology is evolving. The reason why technology is moving so fast right now is because of AI. And also, if you bring somebody on board who's going to give you technical advice, make sure that person is also on point when it comes to that expertise. Because if you don't have it, you might take on the wrong advice. And this was actually the situation that I find myself into. I didn't have a CTO. Now my CTO is brilliant. It's so on point, and we work in the same speed. I'm very intense. People know me. It's like when I'm passionate about something, I will work hours. I might just start about 6 and sometimes end up until 10 just because I love it. I just do what I love. And he's the same. So it's crazy hours. Two of us can work crazy hours. And it's always a danger. I think for me is that I've never had a co-founder. And I heard so many bad stories of having a co-founder. So I didn't want to get one, but we had the same energy, we respect each other. We can have both arguments. We're both Cameroonian. I don't know if that helps. So the culture helps. All of this aspect helps. And yeah, and we're just passionate about when exactly we have so clear about the vision. So we know exactly where we want to end at the end. So therefore, there's no misunderstanding in terms of where we are. So sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes he's wrong, but we listen to it. Like, okay, a fair point. I trust you on this, and also the ability to apologize is very important. So we both are good at this. Mistake number two, if you think the essence of your business is AI or any kind of technology, do not build it at the end, build it at the start. So this is why we need to scrap everything that we had because AI was not engineered in the technology. And again, when you're building an AI platform, you have to make sure that you have the right infrastructure. We had the wrong infrastructure, so there's a lot of things didn't go as planned, and therefore we just had to make a tough decision because also we had the pressure of presenting our clients with Financial Times. So we worked and we made it happen. So make sure, and this is why having somebody who is on point on the latest technology, understand what you're trying to build and can do that internally because you're going to change things a lot of time. So when you work with an agency externally, they will say, okay, well, if you want to change a needle, then it costs you $50. If you want to change this, it's going to cost you 50. And then at the end, your budget is going to blow up. So you want to avoid that. When you are building a platform, you obviously need to design the mockup. And I've learned about vibe coding. If you're not using Claude right now, my friends, I'm going to tell you it's time to use it. Claude Cowork. I don't even need Claude Code, but Claude Cowork for me is more than enough. So make sure that before you use vibe coding, you have your brand guideline document. If you cannot afford to get a design and you are time poor, learn about vibe coding. I was at Cannes and I was at Microsoft Activation, and I heard them talking about vibe coding. Like, what is vibe coding? And I realized I was doing it already. Vibe coding essentially is the ability to use Claude or any of the AI tools right there to help you design the mockups of your product. And so when my CTO was rebuilding the platform, I was on the other side working on the mockups. And what was able to pull out, it would have taken 3 weeks for a designer to do that. What's very important when you're doing vibe coding is that you have your brand guidelines as a document because it will respect your font, your colors, and whatsoever. And then when you integrate that into your Claude Cowork, then you can guide them in terms of what you want. It's super, super important. That made a massive difference for helping us build a super product that we have right now. We've been here since the beginning. It's the night and day compared to what we had, which was designed manually, and now what I've designed, which is actually close to my vision. I'm not a designer, but I know exactly what I want. And I was able to direct Claude to what I wanted, and it was able to create the mockup that aligned with what I wanted to create. And that is super powerful. If there's any designer listening to this, you need to learn how your role is evolving, right? Each of us need to learn how our role is evolving with AI. Because for me, I've learned about how my job is evolving and I'm utilizing it every day. One thing I've done well is getting the right people on my board. I had somebody understand data, I had somebody understand strategy. I took investors that could also become part of my board of advisors. Very lucky for me to have Franco Quazzo, the CEO of Toyota Connected, now the chairman of Toyota Connected, on my board as my advisor. Marie Fulfuleo, who used to be customer data expert at Just Eat. She always gives me the best advice. Same thing, I have Catherine from Amplitude, fantastic, great with data. I also have actually from LinkedIn my good friend Toby, who's fantastic in terms of brand experience and how to build it. This is why you need to be particular in terms of who you approach for investment. Don't go to anybody. You need to make sure that they understand the business, they care about the business, and they can also provide you the right advice. Not all of my investors sit on my board, but the one that I wanted to, I really approach them and make them a great offer. Something that I mentioned earlier on, I build a brand. It's very important that you build a brand. Building a brand also gives you the power to build the value of your business. There's always something very different between having a coffee shop and having Starbucks, right? So the power of that is that it helps you move further with your recognition and your association. People say to me, how after you get as your first partnership with Financial Times, which is the largest media brand? Well, I've built a brand, right? Because every brand is very conscious in terms of who they associate themselves with. And if your brand is not screaming professional, they're never going to work with you. And that's something to be really bear in mind. This is it for episode number 2 of my journey to 1 million subscribers. And I hope you enjoy it. And I will see you next time. I have so many more things to tell you, but I can't tell you all in one go.